What was your main takeaways from the Prime Minister's speech today? Lots of hard decisions to be made, but I think it's going to be a step in the right direction. My main takeaway is that the Prime Minister and this government is a government for third. Have you met the Prime Minister before?
No, it was the first time today. It was an honour getting to meet him. It was quite surreal.
And then I think some good progress will be made, especially in terms of the economy and things.
I will be lie, I actually thought it was going to be on the streets at one point. Comes to my story, I think definitely tried to push forward for apprenticeships, so that kind of changed my life dramatically.
I think another thing which would be super helpful for a business like myself is looking at the ways that we can help smaller communities, and getting people into jobs in these smaller businesses as well is going to be a really key factor for someone like myself.
It's trying to show a young generation who were at school, had no idea what they were going to do, struggle with ADHD, dyslexia, is that anything's possible.
Keir Starmer found himself in a terrible situation. The popularity of the Labour Party is plummeting, and the voices of the far right are getting louder, and Starmer is facing a real hurricane. He is surrounded by critics from all sides, and there is no way out. It may seem to you that you have already seen political dramas, but believe me, this is a whole new level. We are talking about a crisis that could deprive Starmer of his position, and these are not just rumours, they are a real threat to his career. If you thought politics couldn't get more intense, think again. And here's what's especially shocking. It's not just his opponents who rejoice at his downfall. Keir Starmer's past as Attorney General is resurfacing, haunting him. People start digging up old skeletons, and what they find is terrifying.
The Prime Minister from that dispatch box has made much of his service as the public prosecutor. So could he tell the House in that capacity why during his time he declined to instigate a prosecution for rape and sexual abuse against Mohammed Fayed?
Prime Minister.
That case never crossed my desk.
Right. That completes Prime Minister.
What's the matter? Groomer gangs. These monsters who attacked young girls are at the center of the scandal that has erupted around Starmer. During his tenure as district attorney from 2008 to 2013, Starmer was responsible for overseeing court proceedings in England and Wales. Now people are asking painful questions about what he knew and what he did or did not do in relation to these gangs involved in training criminals. This is no longer just a whisper, it is a real roar that is heard all over the country. One victim, who wished to remain anonymous, bitterly stated, "I feel like the system has betrayed me. Where was justice for girls like me when Starmer was at the helm?" Her words cause a deep wound, showing the real human cost of these failures. And it's not just the victims who speak out. Famous personalities are joining this fight, which makes the situation even more explosive. Enter Elon Musk. Yes, it is the very same Elon Musk, and his intervention adds even more tension to this already turbulent situation.
I think Starmer absolutely knew before the debate about the Bowler letter and what it said, and took a deliberate decision, which he's done before. I'll give you the example. I think he just let Sunak repeat it over and over and over again, effectively let him hang himself with it.
Yeah.
Because now the letter's come out this morning, the Bowler letter.
That's interesting.
And now Labour can say, look, they are proven liars.
So it's more of a zinger this morning than it would have been if he'd pulled it out of his pocket last night.
He looked, maybe to certain people last night, he looked like he didn't have the ammunition to immediately rebut the £2,000 allegation. And certainly some people have been saying that. But I think it was more than that. I think he knew. And it's a loyalty tactic, James. We all do it.
Elon Musk, the tech billionaire and owner of Twitter, isn't just participating in this debate, he's using his enormous influence to challenge the entire political landscape. And he's not going to back down. His harsh accusations against Keir Starmer, in which he points out his involvement in violence, shake the political community to its foundations. Why is Musk's opinion so important? Thanks to his powerful platform, he has attracted a whole new audience to this issue. And now Starmer is trying to justify himself by claiming that he was one of the first to start fighting child abuse when he held office. But people don't believe him. Every time he opens his mouth, the situation only gets worse. It seems that he is digging his own political grave, digging the earth shovel by shovel. This scandal affects not only the past, but also the present, and it's about trust. How can people trust Starmer to lead the country when there are all these questions about his judgment? His every word and promise is now viewed with suspicion. In politics, perception is reality.
On the question of Elon Musk, look, I think most people are more interested in what's going to happen to the NHS, frankly, than what's happening on Twitter. Child sexual exploitation is utterly sickening, utterly sickening. And for many, many years, too many victims have been completely let down by perverse ideas about community relations, or by the idea that institutions must be protected above all else. And they've not been listened to and they've not been heard. Those that are spreading lies and misinformation as far and as wide as possible, they're not interested in victims, they're interested in themselves. Those who are cheerleading Tommy Robinson, not interested.
It doesn't matter what the truth is, what matters is what people believe. And now people believe the worst about Starmer, and this could be the beginning of the end of his political ambitions. It's like a stain on a white shirt. The more Starmer tries to erase it, the bigger it gets. Every time he tries to talk about the future, people remember his dark past. The gangland scandal is not going to subside anytime soon, and it must be keeping Starmer awake at night. Or do you remember when the Labour Party was sure that the next election was in their pocket? Those days are long gone. Recent opinion polls show shocking changes in Westminster, and this does not bode well for Starmer and his team. Support for the Labour Party has plummeted, which would have made even the most experienced politicians sick. Let's talk about the numbers, because they don't lie. Recent polls show that over the past month, the Labour Party's advantage has shrunk from 20 points to just 6. We are seeing unexpected shifts to the right that no one expected. Starmer is trying to fix it, but in the end, who is he kidding?
Injustice. They're supporting a man who went to prison for nearly collapsing a grooming case, a gang grooming case. These are people who are trying to get some kind of vicarious thrill from street violence that people like Tommy Robinson promote. And those attacking Jess Phillips, who I'm proud to call a colleague and a friend, not protecting victims. Jess Phillips has done 1,000 times more than they've even dreamt about when it comes to protecting victims of sexual abuse throughout her entire career. But when the poison of the far right leads to serious threats to Jess Phillips and others, then in my book, a line...
Everything is obvious. You know that things are bad when members of your own party start doubting your leadership, and some of them don't even bother to whisper. But that's where the fun begins. We are talking about large-scale changes in key electoral districts, areas that have been a stronghold of trade unions for many years. But now it seems that someone has turned off the lights at the headquarters of the Labour Party. Why is this happening? It seems that the Labour Party is avoiding serious issues. Take, for example, the groomer gang scandal. The failure of the Labour Party to address this issue openly has caused many of its voters to feel disappointed and angry. While the Labour Party was busy trying to put out the fire, the Reform UK was rapidly gaining popularity. Their share in the polls increased from 14 to 25%.
We watched as Britain's very quick transfer of power took place here at Downing Street just hours after last night's historic election. Outgoing Conservative Prime Minister Rishi Sunak, whose party went down to a crushing defeat, leaving for the last time.
To the country, I would like to say first and foremost, I am sorry.
And just an hour later, Britain's new Prime Minister, Keir Starmer, fresh off his party's landslide victory, arriving here at his new house, his new office at Downing Street with his wife. He addressed the British people for the first time, saying the work of change begins immediately.
This is a game changer. The rise of Reform UK is causing a real resonance among traditional Labour voters who feel forgotten and ignored by Starmer's approach. This is not just a fleeting phenomenon. We are witnessing an alarming and steady trend towards falling support, which is causing Labour leaders to panic. They realise that if the situation does not change, they risk not only losing their leadership, but also losing the entire political battle. Every time Starmer turns on the TV or opens the newspaper, it's like another crushing blow to the stomach. His personal scandals were serious, but now he watches in horror as his entire campaign collapses. And that's the real problem. It's not just because of the external opposition that the Labour Party is having a hard time. Harsh and critical voices are heard within the party itself. More and more people are beginning to doubt that Starmer is capable of being a true leader. The Labour Party is on the verge of victory, but what awaits them next? Will they be able to turn this ship around, or are they heading swiftly for the rock? One thing is for sure, Starmer has a huge job ahead of him. He needs more than just a few smart speeches and political promises to get out of this hole. Time is running out, and the stakes are incredibly high. See you later.